Great get right now, though, by Chris Curtis. Joining us on the Harbor One hotline, it is the great Charlie Weis. Charlie, good morning.
Well, the great Charlie Weis is a little bit of an exaggeration, but I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing up there?
I feel like you should be on the Ultimate World Cruise, which is going on right now. I don't know if you've heard about that. 9 months on a cruise ship.
No, I'll pass on that. I'll pass on that.
So listen, everybody with a scintilla of a relationship with Bill has weighed in. Scheim had mentioned your tweet this morning, and a plea to fans to show some respect on Sunday if they're at the game. What are you thinking this morning about the future of Bill Belichick?
Well, look, I have no idea what's going to happen there. I have no idea. I have no idea if they're going to part ways. I don't know if they did part ways, whether it would be an amicable one or whether it would be a nasty one. I have no idea. All I'm saying is there is a possibility it might come to an end. And I think just like when greatness leaves the house, I think it should be recognized. And if this were to be Bill's last game, I would hope that the people in New England would treat him with his due respect.
Charlie, when you look at if this potentially is his last game in New England, do you see that he still wants to coach and he could be on similar to Brady where he goes someplace else for a year or two to continue coaching, or is he done completely with coaching?
Well, he doesn't look like he's done to me. Now, the good thing for him is that it's not going to be because he needs the money. He obviously has made a whole bunch of money, deservedly so. So he doesn't have to make a decision on, like a lot of times when people are younger, you make decisions what's best for your family financially. But he doesn't have to do that. He can pick and choose what he decides to do. I mean, he could go to TV if he wanted to do TV. I'm sure they'd pay him a bunch of money to go ahead and be an analyst. But he's a football coach. And, even though he's in his early 70s, he doesn't show any signs to me from what I've seen from afar that he wants to stop being a football coach.
Charlie, if he is done, do you see the Crafts sticking with somebody in his coaching tree, or do you think they will do a complete clean slate and go a different direction?
Oh, I would be surprised if it's not Mayo. I think that when he stayed there last year, I don't know this, but I would assume the reason why he stayed there last year is because he said that. And I'd be surprised if it wasn't him. I don't think it'll be somebody else other than him. I'd be surprised.
Charlie, when you look at Bill, and obviously you say he's a football coach, and I completely agree. I still think he loves coaching, and he still can coach at an extremely high level. He's going to have opportunities to go elsewhere. Do you think that he's going to choose, if he's fortunate enough to, part ways in a way where he can choose to go elsewhere, that he'll have the opportunity to go somewhere where it's like kind of a turnkey type of organization? Or will he end up in a place where maybe they don't have a quarterback and kind of have to rebuild it in a way where he might have to be there for a little bit longer than 2 or 3 years?
Well, the reason why jobs are open is because it's not turnkey. So to ask that question is really not right, because jobs aren't open because things are going well. Jobs are open because things aren't going well. But I would think that he'd want to go somewhere where there are pieces in place, and the salary cap is such where, with the pieces in place and with the salary cap availability and with draft choices, he'd be able to be competitive in a hurry. Because let's face it, the last thing he wants to do is go through a complete rebuild. That's not what he wants to do. But there's places out there that I think that he could say, hey, I could win there. I could win there in a hurry. And I think that makes more sense to me.
How, when it comes to Robert Kraft, knowing him as you do, how affected by the potential for Bill leaving and being successful elsewhere, and what happened with Tom Brady, do you think Robert Kraft is?
Oh, I don't think he's worrying about those. I think he's worrying about getting his organization back to the playoffs. That's what I think he's worried about. You know, Mr. Kraft, when he bought the team, it wasn't very good. He built it into, between Robert and Bill and Tommy and the rest of the guys, and there's a lot of other people that could take pats on the back, but let's just talk about the Three Musketeers. Between that triumphant of those three guys, the success is like unparalleled in NFL history. I think that if Mr. Kraft is only worrying about getting the Patriots back to the top of the AFC East and getting them in the playoffs and getting them in contention to play for a Super Bowl. I think that's the only thing he's worried about. I think if Bill leaves, he's not worrying about, where Bill goes and what happens with Bill. I mean, everyone has pride. I mean, you want to think that you're gonna make the place better, but at the end of the day, you can only worry about the team you have. You can't be worrying about the other teams.
Charlie, I cite your comments with us from the Super Bowl in Atlanta back at Super Bowl 53, where you said if you ask Robert, Bill, and Tom who was most important, they would all say themselves if they were being honest. My question for you is very simple. We argue about it constantly. Who sets the budget? Does Bill Belichick have a number of a dollar figure that he's able to use on players that's set by Robert Kraft? And why have they been spending so little since their big offseason a couple years ago? What do you guess as to the reason that is?
Oh, I think Bill and Robert work together on the number he has to work with. I think, Bill gives him a number and then Mr. Kraft goes back and forth. I think that those two guys have done a good job business-wise of working together and getting a number. Yeah, but you're asking me a question that I'm not going to be like one of those guys that thinks they have all the answers. I'd be purely speculating that answer, and I have no idea.
All right, Charlie. You want one more, Courtney?
Well, I was just going to ask, Charlie, do you think that it's wrong that Bill Belichick hasn't gotten the public support from Robert Kraft with all of the speculation going around all season long, all the headlines? Do you think that it's time for Robert Kraft to say something publicly?
Well, Mr. Kraft, if they end, he's going to say positive things. He's not going to say negative things. These guys aren't dumb. I mean, they know that the Patriot Super Bowl runs over the last couple of decades are historical, and they know that they played an intricate part in that, in having that. I don't think anyone's going to be bad-mouthed at anyone else here. I don't, if it ends, I don't know if it's going to be a happy ending, but it wasn't a happy ending when Tommy left. But it's all hugs and kisses now. You know how that goes. Time resolves a lot of issues, but I think everyone publicly will take the high road.
All right, Charlie, you'll be watching Sunday what could be, I guess, Bill's final game here as head coach in New England.
Yeah, maybe not, but it's looking like that's definitely a possibility.
All right, Charlie Weis, there he is.